Hello.
Hi. She just made a joke about my boobs, so I'm still trying to get the flush out of my cheek. So welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 15.
15, because I can count.
She
Leslie didn't trust me when I said it was episode 15
I thought
earlier.
it was 14, I guess. I don't know. Time
flies when you're having fun.
It's true.
Or up to mischief.
Which is mostly her. So I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les, on pretty much everywhere.
And I'm Laura, also known as Lala, or Lala's Knits, but mostly Lala.
Or Lala Knits.
That's true.
So she's a very versatile, different kind of person. So
you never know what you're going to get.
She just got back from Michigan about an hour ago.
You can still see the sunburn.
And I told her,
hot,
you should go ahead and come over so we can go ahead and record, because I missed you. I want you to come back. So anyway, let's talk about what's on the needles. Why don't you go first?
Sure. I have one sock that matches another sock. And if anyone here has been on my Ravelry project page, these have been up for around 2.5 years now. Because I started them, it's Yarn Love, I can't remember which base, but in the Shipwreck colorway. And it's really, really pretty in the skein.
I remember you knitting those at the Hernando yarn shop.
Yep. And it's really, really pretty in the skein. And then you get working on it and it pools in an interesting fashion. So these are the 9 to 5 socks. Stop laughing at me. These are the 9 to 5 socks, which is a fabulous pattern. It's really, this section is the 9 to 5 socks because I've messed with it. But it's a really great pattern. It's a cool slip stitch, like knit two together rib type pattern. The actual socks have a really cool heel, and it continues the pattern down on the foot, but I was just trying to break up the pooling.
She's just randomly trying to, let me increase a few, let me decrease a few.
Yep. Let me knit a little bit looser. That's what I did on these ones. Like, I'm at the toe of this one, and it was all, like, all the brown was right here, and it wasn't moving at all, and I was like, I'm gonna knit loose, and you can see on this one, like, the stitches get really big, and it's like, oh, there goes the pooling, yay, you've shifted. But these are for Becky, they're not for me. So, I was hoping to finish them when I was with her in Michigan, but that didn't happen because I had to spend time playing with the niece.
Had to. It was a real tough thing to do.
It's a chore, let me tell you. And then also in Michigan, I knit my Norwegian roses.
Yay!
Well, I started to knit on them in the car, and then my mother is an interesting driver. And it got kind of bumpy, and it started making me car sick, but I finished the first repeat.
Looks very nice.
And there's the back side.
I think you chose good colors for that.
Yeah, I think there's enough contrast that it's showing up well. So one repeat down.
I just realized the
several
fan
more
is
to go.
on.
Oh my
Fan in
goodness.
case there's a noise.
Heaven forbid.
That's how much I love y'all, because I get real hot real fast.
Anyway, and then the blanket has grown quite a bit since y'all saw it last.
This has mostly been your car knitting?
So this has been my car knitting as I listened to, like, we listened to an interview with B.B. King today, so that was my, you know, I can't, it's hard for me to read, knit, and listen to something on the radio, like, speaking. I can listen to music and knit and read, but when it gets to, like, interviews and stuff,
even garter stitch?
Focus. Yeah. So, I don't know. Because I'm trying to
do
follow along with
audiobooks?
some of my book. Yeah, I can do audiobooks and like listening to audiobooks and knit. But I was reading on my Kindle. Where's my Kindle? I'll even tell you what I was reading. I was reading, let's see, this is my lovely Kindle, isn't it cute? And, let's see. I read 2 new books on this trip, both of which are paranormal romance. Surprise! The first was a sequel. The second was not. I was trying to get back out of the book and go home. Okay. Tracking the Tempest by Nicole Peeler was what I was reading today. It's actually a pretty... It reminds me of... let me think of a series it reminds me of. Mary Janice Davidson used to do these like undead and unwed series which had vampires in them. And they were more like comical type. Tempest is like the fae version of that, like the fairy version of that. And then I read Blood Song by Kat Adams, who's written a ton of books under different names, and she writes with someone else too. And that's a brand new book by her, and it was pretty good. Yep, that's about it. So I read those two.
Did you start anything new on your trip?
New projects? No. That was good.
That's good.
I also knew on the, where are they? The Vertizags when we were on the boat.
She told me all she was taking was her Norwegian rose and her blanket, and I thought, wow, that's great self-control.
Nope.
She's a dirty liar.
So I did we were on a boat and the blanket was too big to take on the boat, so I knew I was going to need something else to take, so I took these when we were on the boat. It messed them up a little bit.
Justify.
And I also took I tried to finish those Yarn Love socks because Becky's been waiting for them for a couple of years. She didn't actually know she was getting them. But
it's weighed heavily on your conscience.
No, it's really not. Well, it started to more when people have been going. We have the projects on the sidebar, and people have been like, "Laura's got a lot of projects on the sidebar, and none of them seem to be working."
I haven't even updated mine, but nobody's griped at me about that. So
Melissa said you needed to update.
Oh, because she wanted the link to that pattern.
Yeah, she wanted the link to the pattern
that I provided. So
yeah.
So is that all your works in progress?
Yep.
Miss Busy Bee over there.
Yep.
So I didn't have anything that I could really work on during the podcast, so I figured I would just cast on for a little baby hat, and that could be my podcast knitting. So that's what I did on the Denise needles, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it was what was convenient, and I didn't have to go downstairs for it.
Yep.
Lazy. So my other works in progress, I did do my first Masters Knitter swatch, which isn't going to be like, oh my god, a revelation or anything. It's just 2x2 rib, and then you increase 5 stitches in the last row, and you have to kind of do it where you can't tell. And then just 4 inches of garter. So, swatch number 1. Done.
How many swatches do you have to do?
17. And there are questions with each swatch, and then there's a hat at the end and a report you have to write.
So, what kind of questions accompany
I don't
that
know.
swatch?
I haven't actually looked at the questions yet.
Okay.
I started on the second swatch, but I can't get my knit and purl gauge even, so I got to figure that out before I start.
What yarn are you using for that?
Cascade 220 not superwash, just regular wool in the plain white color.
Because they tell you to use
a light or cream color, and there's a lot of rules. You can't do Tweety, you can't do novelty yarn, which I completely understand. Because
you can't see the stitches with the thumper.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I did that. And then also I decided I was going to start on that pattern that, I don't know if I talked about it in the last podcast. Yeah, I did, because I showed my in progress.
The knit and pearls, yeah.
So I finished one, but it's still going to be considered a work in progress. So this is the first sock. The dark green is Wilmaza Sabrina, and the light green is Claudia's Hand Painted in Mint. And I made them for me. And I didn't weigh so when I started this, I was just looking at what I already had caped, because I wanted to get rid of something. I didn't weigh it before I started, and then I weighed it after and realized I did not have enough Sabrina. So I put out an ISO message on the Wilmaza board and got many offers, and I got somebody who wanted something that I had, so we swapped for an even trade. I just haven't got the other ball yet, so I can't start the other sock, because I have about 25 grams left, but if I start it, and then what she sends me is a slightly different color, like it's slightly lighter.
You want to alternate the rows?
Well, I could, but she's sending me enough for a whole sock, so that if it's slightly different than this one, I'm not going to worry about it, but at least that way I don't have to use 2 separate balls of yarn.
Gotcha.
So, that's still kind of a work in progress.